wheels, 8 cylinders, and thousands of fans at the Lucas Oil Speedway. It's time to strap in, shut up, and above all, hang on. Hello everybody, I'm Stephen Cox and we welcome you to the Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri for the General Tire Fall Nationals presented by Dixie Chopper. Today it's a full pull of 300 feet. Now Doc Riley and Lisa Tatum will handle pit road duties, and I'm joined in the studio by our expert analyst Rick Carlson. Help us get started with our first competitor.
We're taking a look at one of the machines. These ProMod four-wheel drive, just as we talk about, four-wheel drive, unlimited cubic inches, a couple of carburetors or injectors, upswept headers, burning methanol, big weight box out front, and they're going to pull a long way. 300 foot is the full pull mark, and we're going to wait for our very first puller. Tom Tremolian, the engine builder, driving Spellbound.
Out of Valonia, Indiana, Tom started the year poorly, but he won in the second round at Owensboro, Kentucky. He's a veteran in this series, and he can get the job done. He needs 300 feet here.
And it looks like a good pull, easing into the throttle. And where does he end up? 301.58 feet, a full pull. First puller out all the way to the end. He's close enough. He's going to be able to keep that one. He wants to go to the pull-off. We're looking at the General Tire replay from straight on.
Rick, take a look at those front tires. You know, it looked very, very good. You don't want a lot of bounce in the front end. He's got all four wheels squatting and pulling hard.
And as the sled comes up, the weight gets onto the back of the truck. It stays even. And you watch the official red flag. That's it. Shut it down. It's a full pull.
A brand new track has been a handful for some of these guys, but Tom made quick work of it. Robert Jackson is up next out of Centralia, Missouri.
The Bad Attitude machine, he is hooked up. He's in four-wheel drive. And here we go. Now let's watch the tire speed and listen for the engine sound. He was in the throttle much earlier than the leader, Tom Tremolian, did. Let's see if it makes a difference as he heads to the left, straightens it back out. Shuts it down, 297, not a full pull. He won't make it in the pull-off. It's good enough for the number 2 spot.
However, that's going to be tough to get past the 300-foot mark. You know, we saw some guys come out looking at this new track early, stomping around a little bit, trying to figure this dirt out. And Robert Jackson, of course, is very familiar with it because he's a local boy. Now, this guy is not pulling all the way from Salem, Indiana. This is Brad Hunter on My Little Mule.
We saw the hooker. That's the man that puts the hook, that hooks the chain from the sled to My Little Mule, and he is bouncing a little bit. Well, the body's bouncing a lot more than the chassis is. Where does he go? 289, the number 3 spot. Not enough for the lead.
Kind of a tough start to the year for Brad Hunter. He spent the first third of the season still looking for his first top 5. Let's check in now with Lisa Tatum. She's standing by on pit road.
Now, one common theme you always hear in pulling is that it's a family affair. Now, Randy Nelson decided to call his truck a family affair, aptly named because his dad's got his own blown four-wheel drive truck. And so obviously, I guess you've grown up around the sport. Tell me a little bit more about your truck and how you got involved.
Well, my dad got in pulling when I was 4 years old, and well, I'm 36 now, so we've been in pulling quite a few years, and we've just upped the classes from a super stock four-wheel drive right on up. And I wanted to try this big motor class out, so I built an 800-inch motor because my dad's already in the blown four-wheel drives, and I didn't think we ought to be butting heads too much because there's already too many trucks in the class already.
Now, has it made it difficult with him being in a different division, you know, same class, basically a different division? Has it made it hard to figure out which pulls to go to?
Yeah, it's hard because, you know, him and my mother goes to their pulls by theirself, and I usually go by myself, so it's very hard. And then he likes to go with me, but the two trucks are so much different. There's not a whole lot of common. I run an 800-inch natural aspirated motor that's probably 1,350 horse, and then he's got a blown 500-inch HEMI that's probably 2,200 horse, and the two trucks just, they don't work nothing alike, and it's been hard to get. We try to use the knowledge off of one to the other, and we're kind of lost this year.
And now you've got a GMC, and that's unusual also. Are you more of a GMC fan, or did things just kind of fall into place that way?
Well, years ago, a gentleman from GM came to us and asked us to run a GMC and supplied us a body to do it. And I've just always kept with that theme. And I would like to put the new 2007 Chevrolet on next year, so we'll see. The season's about over, so got plenty of work to do in this winter. So that's my big plan, is put the new 2007 body on.
Now this class has got one of the bigger numbers here in Wheatland, and so let's hope that he does well.
Lisa, I think even a bigger problem for Randy is really just getting this truck figured out. I mean, the chassis is different, the suspension is different. It's just a totally different animal than what his father drives.
And he's done well so far, but not as well as he'd like. This is a good-looking pull, starting to go to the left, and we see a little smoke coming out from under. He has to shut it down, 297. Well, it's good enough for second spot. Second spot is just that.
Exactly, and it will not get you into the pull-off. We already have one at 301 feet. More coming up from Missouri right after this. One full pull. Some guys are starting to figure this brand new track out and do so very, very well. The sled's heavy, but not heavy enough. We've seen guys 297, 298, and now Charles Hines wants a good run because he came all the way from Texas, for crying out loud.
Yep, this is our Texan running wild. Well, he hopes he does. He's into the throttle. As you said, this is the first time they put a pulling track out here on the diamond of the dirt. And it's been tough for some people to read. He looks pretty good, Hines. Good enough for second spot by 11/100ths of a foot. Good enough for number 2.
Not good enough to get into the pull-off, and you could see the tail wag at the end of that run, and that will cost him. Danny Hunter is coming up next. 6th place in the very first event this year, all over the board since then, and it's anybody's guess what you're going to have tonight on brand new dirt.
Take a look up front. You see the weight box and the fuel tank on top of that as far out as they're allowed to extend it, and that can put the weight on the front tires. Remember, 4x4s, 4-wheel drive, all 4 of those tires and wheels digging in the dirt trying to get him down the race course to his 300 foot. Nope, 293, 7 feet short.
Everybody close, but nobody up there with Tom Tormolian's 301-foot run yet. Now, Dave Bamber came out of the gate this year with a great second-place run at Salem, Indiana. At Salem, they actually go down on pit row, and over the concrete and asphalt there on pit row, they put dirt on top of it. Now, this is a natural surface. How do they differ?
Well, it depends on what you can do with how wet it is. If it goes down into all dirt, it's going to be absorbed and it's going to be a dry track. If it just goes down to cement, all the moisture stays on top. The BAMBER HEMI, 269, the local racer, not what he was looking for.
I think he ran out of track there at the end, too. Look how far over to the left he starts, and he never really leaves this lane.
As a matter of fact, it starts going to the left, and he's battling the out-of-bounds line on the left. I think he put himself in the wrong spot.
Hey, Bamber, sometimes, you know, you're not that far away from home. What happened? What was the thought there?
Well, I had a problem. I didn't get my fuel turned on all the way. I had my fuel partially turned on, pulling on the track to warm the motor, and I realized after I took off the second time that it wasn't on, so I reached down and turned it on, then the motor came alive, but it was just too late.
It did sound pretty good. It looked like hugging the sideline. Was that the idea?
Yes, it was. There, we were trying to hug the left sideline there.
How far are you from home?
24 miles.
That's pretty close, and boy, he sure did hug that left sideline. Let's see if Jim Bosch does the exact same thing. It looks like he will line up drivers left as well. You know, he's been strong all year. Jim was 3rd at Salem, he was 3rd at Owensboro, and eventually you got to say, well, forget all this 3rd place. I'm ready to win one.
Well, here's somebody that can do that. Midnight Raider, good-looking, dark blue Chevrolet, rolling down the course, staying to the left now. It pulls a little over to the center. Oh, but he'll take that one, 306. He's in the first spot. 2 of them in the pull-off now.
He will go into the pull-off with Tom Tormolian. Both of them past the 300-foot mark, and study this one from the beginning because it looks good all the way. He didn't squeeze all the way over to driver's left, but he got pretty close.
That's it. He hooks up into the throttle. You can see him driving it. It goes to the right, then back to the left. Now he's steering it again. He's well over 306 feet that he's actually going, but it's good enough to put him in the pull-off, and he'll keep it.
And Jim is out of the truck now. Let's let him get his helmet off, and Doc Riley is standing by. And I want to find out, Doc, he's steering that wheel to the left. He made the thing bite.
Well, it looks like you forced a pull-off. A nice pass.
Yeah, that track's all there for us four-wheel drives. The tractors, the big tires, they kind of stayed on top, but we can get into it with our tires.
It looked at the very end that this truck started to hop sideways a little bit.
Yeah, that track's that aggressive down there.
Your thoughts going into the pull-off?
Well, I tell you what, Tommy's got a lot of motor there with his truck, and there's about 2 trucks left that got the possibility of making it. It's going to be anybody's.
2 in the pull-off so far, and we'll come back with more of the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. We get all fired up after this. Welcome back to the General Tire Fall Nationals presented by Dixie Chopper at the brand new Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri. I'm Stephen Cox along with Rick Carlson. Doc Riley and Lisa Tatum are working the pits, and now we go right back to Cody Lewis on All Fired Up. We have 2 guys already into the pull-off. You need 300 feet to get there.
Cody Lewis, we've seen him do a full pull many other times before. You look at this, it's picture perfect. It's just the way that you describe it and want to make a pass at 318 plus feet. The best pass of the evening so far.
But talk about the middle of this run, though, Rick, because if you listen carefully, you heard him not getting full throttle. He's still not full throttle right now. About halfway down, he just laid into it.
He had everything rolling. We talked about these aggressive tires grabbing the track, and then it looks good. He gets out about halfway down the track, and he did have to feather it once because it hopped just a bit. But all in all, 318, not a bad thing.
Doc Riley standing by with him.
Well, the old Missouri boy done pretty good right there. 318 and some change, but it looked like you backed off.
We're truck pulling now, buddy. That England chassis, Profab drive line, and BAMBER horsepower just took us out there.
It really did. You know, the track's been kind of off all night long, but it looks like you guys, the track readers, have finally come around.
Oh, this was a four-wheel drive dream track. We knew that from the beginning of the night, but it's good for small tires, bad for big tires. So you noticed every class went farther and went better as the tires got littler. They could get into it, so.
Your thought on the pull-off?
We're going to have to earn it.
And he got all the sponsors in. You notice that? This guy has a future in this sport.
He's done it enough. He has it memorized. Now it's Steve Clem's turn. Driving Radical from Versailles, Indiana. The points leader. See how he's going to do.
Well, he started out hot this year. I mean, right out of the gate, he came out with 1 win in round number 1. Then he came in 2nd place in the 2nd round of the year, and he hasn't let off the gas since.
Like a rock, it says out on his weight box, and he has been just that. This is hooked up. He was into the throttle easily. Not a bobble, not anything. It looks good. 302 feet, another for the pull-off.
Ken Salmon is coming up next. We'll watch Illinois Thunder as he gets ready to hitch up and talk with Doc Riley.
Well, the old full pull club gets just a little bit larger right there. Nice pass.
You know, I think a full pull club may get larger even. The track seems like to me it's getting a little better all the time, and all these trucks are capable of pulling it out. And gosh, I'm glad I got it out. That run didn't feel it well, but I got it out, and I'm thankful for that. But we're getting ready to go around and give it another shot.
Will you hook in the same spot? Do you think that's going to be the magic right there, or do you have something else up your sleeve?
Well, there's a couple different places on the track that we was wanting to try, and we'll probably shift spots a little bit and try something a little different. It depends a lot too on what the other trucks do.
And the magic so far has been drivers left. There's no question about that.
Now Ken Salmon, Illinois Thunder, all the way from Cooperston, Illinois. This is one of the earlier style machines, the earlier body style. Coming up, it's blue with the lightning all over it, and hopefully he'll catch some lightning on this pull if he can take it over 300 feet. Looks close, looks good. 306 it is, another for the pull-off.
Ken Salmon will take Illinois Thunder into the pull-off. Jake Zering is the last guy with a shot at it. We already have a 5-way pull-off, so it's going to be tough. It's almost going to be like having your night all over again.
Now it's Crazy Jake, the Dixie Chopper machine. Take a look at his weight box, and it looks like the underneath of one of those Dixie Chopper lawnmowers. You can see the blades, and he'd like to have it chopped right past the 300-foot mark. Oh, bouncing a little bit, smoking a lot. I don't know if Crazy Jake can do it.
He needs 300 feet, and he gets 310. My goodness, I don't know what is up with that machine. He's got smoke coming out of it. He had a lot of bounce right out of the whole shot. However, he makes it in.
Well, we talked about earlier, Steve Clem with one that you'd write home about, or Cody Lewis, and then Jake Zering comes out with one you wouldn't want to show anybody as the perfect example of a 300-foot pull, but it works, and he'll take it. It bounced. It smoked. I don't know what else could go wrong except he made the distance.
310 feet, a lot of steering input there, though. Let's talk with Doc Riley.
That looked like you had a little bit left in it.
Yeah, we had a lot left. We just got a little rough takeoff there, but we had the horsepower, I think.
Yeah, were you thinking about just kind of crawling off the line or getting right on it right away?
Well, I was going to try to crawl out of there, but it wanted to start hopping on me a little bit, so I had to go ahead and bust her over.
That's one of the things with these trucks. They're kind of light in that rear end.
Yeah, my truck's probably the lightest one in the rear end, and then we kind of had to watch it on different conditions.
Well, you really got to ride that throttle, don't you?
Yep. We were having a good time tonight, and looks like we're in the pull-off.
Now, that's got to be a concern for Leanne Tormolian as well. She is the final puller of the night. Tom, her father, is already in on Spellbound at just a tick over 300 feet, so he'll have a shot at it. But as a driver, what do you have to look at here? I mean, the guy before you is bouncing all over the track.
Well, you know that you have to ease into the throttle. You have to use the clutch a little bit. She's driving charm. Her dad, Tom, comes out with the big engine. She has the smaller engine, and look at it. She had some bouncing there. It bounces again. Well, the rear end is way off the ground. That's enough. She has to shut it down.
215 feet, but it matters little because she's got a lot bigger problems on her hands than that after that pull. Now, let's take another look at it. Let's look at it in real time.
Look at that rear end bounce and shut it down. Doc will have to talk to her and see what went wrong.
Hey, Leanne, what happened?
Well, some parts in the drivetrain broke and it bounced and it's everywhere.
Well, she's got big problems on her hands, but she can at least sit back and cheer for Dad. Tom Tormolian is first in the pull-off. We've got 6 guys coming up here in just a couple of minutes. All of them will go for the prize tonight at the Lucas Oil Speedway.
One of the tightest classes of the Lucas Oil Champions Tour is the four-wheel drive class, and as we've seen, it's pull-off time right now. This track may hold another groove. Everyone's been kind of cheating to the left side a little bit, but as we've heard some pullers say, there may be another groove somewhere here on the track. It'll all be about track reading and track strategy. We know these guys have got horsepower. Let's see what can happen here as we get set to pull them off.
Doc, I don't know how many people are going to be jumping back over to that left side. I'd be scared of it personally because Leanne Tormolian went over there. She bounced all over the track. Jake Zarian went over there. He bounced everywhere as well. How safe is it?
I think they're going to stay a little more toward the center or to the right. Tom Tormolian coming out Spellbound. Looks just a little to the right of center. He's staying completely away from that left side of the track. Now they have added weight to the sled. They have the weight go to the top just a little bit quicker, getting the weight on the back of the truck, trying to give them a little different feel. What is Tom going to do?
Well, on paper, 300 feet is still a full pull, so 312.95 looks good, but it still can be beat. Right now, it's whoever can go the farthest.
Jim BOSCH, Midnight Raider, coming out, and he has seen what Tom did. He's staying just a little bit over to the left. You can see the boundary marker down at the bottom of the screen.
He knows what he has to do, 312.95 feet. If he can beat that, he may take home a huge check. And look at that truck bounce.
He found the bouncing spot on the track, and that is going to hurt as he has to drive it around. 306, well, he's in the number 2 spot.
Yeah, he tried to drive out of it, and it didn't work. He got to the center of the track, but Cody Lewis on all fired up. Cody was no doubt watching that run, and I'm anxious to see what groove he chooses this time. Now, look, he is going to start just a bit further to the left. That surprises me.
But we'll see what he did, and what he finds here earlier was a 318-foot pull. The rear end bouncing just like everyone else, but he's able to drive through it and all the way out the back door, still hopping up there.
321 feet, that is a huge, huge breakthrough.
Takes him into the lead by almost 9 feet. Here comes Steve Clem and Radical. When we talked to him after his first pull, he said he had some other things up his sleeve. Let's see what he can find with the pull-off.
Radical put up a 302-foot pull first time out. It's going to be tougher this time, and Steve Clem will cheat over to the left, and he's going to try to throttle through these bumps.
Nope, still that bouncing, but he still drives through them. It looks good, but the sled is getting heavy, and he just barely gets to 300 foot. The 311, good enough for the number 3 spot right now.
And Steve was trying to drive over to the left side of the track. You could see him cutting those wheels over to the left, so that's where everybody wants to be, bumps or no bumps, as Ken Samet gets ready to take Illinois Thunder up to the 321-foot mark if he can do it. That's what he needs to bump off Cody Lewis.
Looks like Ken has gotten into the middle of the course, and we'll see how that works. Not the bouncing that we saw earlier, and it looks pretty good so far. Trying to get some distance, getting out there. John backing up, letting him pull all he can. 314 into the number 2 spot is Illinois Thunder.
Yeah, a good 7, almost 8 feet short of what he needed. Jake Zering is up next, and Jake is the last guy tonight with an opportunity to yank that winner's check away from Cody Lewis, but he needs a spectacular run to get it done.
Just about 322 feet. That's what Crazy Jake, Dixie Chopper Dodge needs to do. In his first pull, he started bouncing. He had to feather the throttle. He talked about it. It was a good pull. I don't think he can have the same thing happen here, and it's bouncing again immediately. Cody Lewis with it, watching it go. I don't think Jake can do it. He's moving all over the pulling course right now.
And this guy agrees. Cody Lewis knows it. He gets a huge handshake because Jake Zering comes up short and docks with our winner.
Wow, pretty good class right there all the way through. Some very tough competition, but the old Missouri boy comes out on top, man. Nice job.
Oh, we did well. That's the best you get in the country, running with these guys, and it's tough. If you even hiccup, they'll eat your lunch. And
you know, looking back at this situation, you had 2 really good hooks, but it seemed like the track maybe got a little bit loose right around maybe the 150, 160 mark.
Yeah, and a lot of people's clutches were locking in then, and it was throwing the trucks into fits a little bit. And we had a bad hole shot the second time, but our Engler chassis and Profab drive lineup, we had never have any trouble with any of that stuff. And when we opened the throttle, the BAMBER horsepower came to life, and the Lewis Body Shop paint job looked good doing it.
You know, the neat thing about this is you go in history books as being the first 4-wheel drive winner here at Lucas Oil Speedway.
There you go. We like it. Nobody ever remembers second place.
Don't tell Ken Samet that, but we can take one more look at the Torco Fuels hot pull of the night, and it was a beauty.
He hops and drives right through it. It didn't seem to miss a lick as Cody Lewis and fired up, go right down there. Bounces at the end. He's going to have to work on the suspension, but as we look at this end, we can watch carefully. He's into the throttle. Now you can see that hop, and you can hear him feather the throttle, Stephen.
It's suspension and it's tire pressure, and that's exactly what Cody Lewis needed. 4 tires clawing into this fresh dirt at Lucas Oil Speedway, and he comes out on top with a 321-foot pull, and that is a huge win. Look at the gap that he had over Ken Samet and Tom Tormoli. An absolutely wonderful pull for him tonight. The point standings wrap up with Radical on top, 261 over Jim Bosch's 257. For Rick Carlson, Doc Riley, and Lisa Tatum, I'm Stephen Cox. Coverage of the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.